Hi, katzcradul here. It's Thursday, and that means it's time for another edition of the Homestead Honey Hour at PrepperBroadcasting.com at 8 p.m. Central tonight. I'll post the link below so that you can get into that show. And at the end of this video, for those of you who are new, I'll walk you through what that looks like and what kind of buttons to press to get in and all that kind of thing. I've labeled this video as important information. And it's not that I don't think we always have important information on the Homestead Honey Hour, but sometimes we're a little more laid back and we'll talk about general things and take calls on general kind of preparedness information. But tonight I want to address very pointedly an issue that concerns me, and that's the issue of storing fats long term. Now, if you're not into long-term preparation, it's not really consideration because most fats can store for a year and up to 2 years. But if we're talking about a long-term situation and you don't raise your own animals to butcher, storing fats is very problematic. And it's something that's been weighing on my mind for a long time as I have worked through what my plan is going to be for incorporating fat into my family's diet when I'm not able to go to the store and purchase the things I'm used to purchasing. And it's been a real issue for me, and I've really struggled with how to do it and what kinds of fats to store and in what forms and at what temperatures and that kind of thing. And that's what we're going to be talking about tonight. I will show you just in this video a couple of or few kinds of fats I store, and maybe even some that you haven't considered. One of the reasons I chose to address this subject tonight is that I get probably about maybe 75 questions a day that are posted to my actually sent in forms of either PMs or posted as a message at the end of my videos or under my videos. And very seldom do I get a question concerning how to store fat. There is a general fascination with how I can my butter and that process, and I do get lots of questions about that. But exclusive of that issue, I really just don't get any questions about how to store fat. So that really concerns me because that lets me know people aren't really thinking about it, or either they're just assuming that that what they have stored is enough on their shelf for several years, and that's probably not the case. Of course, I do can butter, and I will talk to you tonight about the reasons that I am not afraid of doing that, and discuss with you and tell you about the great success I've had doing that and the success that many others have had doing that. I also have stored in the past shortening, which I will not be storing any more of, and I'll tell you why. I also store lard. I will not be buying any more of this particular kind, but I will tell you the kind I will be storing, and you do want to know that because I think it's probably the most important thing we can talk about tonight. I store lots of olive oil, and I'll tell you how to do that and what to look for when you're buying olive oil. I also store lots of coconut oil, and then there's some other things I store which are less familiar. I store number 10 cans of shortening powder and butter powder. Neither of these reconstitute to make what I would consider an equivalent to real shortening or real butter, but they are excellent to bake with. Some other fats you might not have considered are peanut butter, which is largely fat, home canned meats, and I will discuss with you why I do not drain all of the fat off my meat. I go ahead and can it with it. You'll find lots of prepper videos about people talking about how gross it looks and how disgusting it is and how they drain all of it off and all of that kind of thing. Well, if you're talking about surviving long term, you probably need to go ahead and buck up and go ahead and can some of that fat in with your meat. I'm going to tell you why, and I'm going to tell you how to use it. Also, I will talk about storing other meats and the fats that are contained therein. Here's one thing you might not have thought of, that this canned milk contains 40 calories per serving, and 20 of those come from fat. It's an excellent source of fat and a great way to store it. I'll show you some methods I use for storing. I have a outdoor refrigerator, and it is a great resource to me. I highly recommend an extra refrigerator. I store lots of dairy in here. You'll see eggs and milk and cheese and yogurt. I also store acidophilus in there. If you don't know what that is, we can talk about it on the show tonight briefly. All of the eggs that my hens produce are in that refrigerator. Sometimes I store some extra produce. You'll see celery and cabbage and cauliflower and potatoes, and I do have some apples that are stored in one of the drawers at the bottom. But the other thing I use it for is to store fat, and this is where I store my extra olive oil. They're the kind of green bottles that are laying down on their side, and extra coconut oil and shortening, and it's just a great place to store fat and to dramatically extend the shelf life, and we'll talk about that a little bit more tonight. When you come on PrepperBroadcasting.com tonight, you'll see the main banner. It's kind of a rotating banner, but this is how one of the views looks. Once you're at the main page for PrepperBroadcasting.com, you're going to click on the tab at the top that says Listen and Chat. That will take you to the page for tonight. On the left side, you'll see the player for the 6 p.m. Central show, which is Paladin Prepper Reports. I invite you and encourage you to attend that show. He'll be talking about current topics related to preparedness, and also we'll be discussing how to pack and what to pack in your get-home bag. It should be a really great show. On the right side of the page, you'll see the player for the Homestead Honey Hour. You'll look for the little box that says Blog Talk Radio. It have a little arrow in it. I advise you to wait right until 8 o'clock to come in, because you'll be sure the current player is loaded, and it'll say the Homestead Honey Hour. You click on that little triangular button, and it will allow you to hear the show. If you scroll down a bit on that page, you'll also see a box for the chat. You'll put your name, type your name in the white box, and then press the blue connect button, and that will allow you to see the chat and what everybody's talking about. And lots of fun things happen in the chat, and it's just real fun to see what people are saying. So I'm excited about the show tonight. I'm excited about the topic. I think it's an important one, and I hope that you'll come and learn something and maybe teach us something as well. So until tonight, that's all for now. Katzcradul.